Hi, I'm Opal Mitchell. I work for the Central Arkansas Library System and I work at the Nixon branch in Jacksonville. This is the Crafting with Opal program that I do on Thursday nights at 7. Tonight I'm going to show you how to do a scarf face mask. I'm not real sure as far as when I decided to do this project if it'll be something that's allowed for people to wear in stores now that the CDC has changed some of their guidelines as far as face masks. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. Like I said, I'm not really sure if some places will be okay with you wearing this in their stores or not. Let me show you the example of what I made. I just found this online and thought it was, actually a coworker found it online and thought it was pretty neat, and thought I'd try it out to see how well it worked. But I made one little minor change to the pattern by putting some pleats in it to make it hug your face better. But essentially it's a scarf. You tie it in the back, and then whenever you don't want to wear the face mask part of it, you unloop it, and so this will keep your neck warm during the winter time, but then you also have a mask tucked in to the scarf. So that's what it is. You do want to use some thick, tightly woven fabric for it, since it's a scarf, and you want to be sure that you tie it really good where there's no gaps around your face or behind your neck area. So I think it would be okay as long as you make sure that you wear it like that. But like I said, I don't know if some stores and stuff will allow it or not, since they've changed some of their guidelines on masks. But it was too late for me to change the project that I was going to be doing tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and show how to do it. Let's see, I guess I'll switch over so you can see. Oh, it looks like I got paint on my thing from my last painting program. But that's okay. I'm gonna switch this around so you can see what I've got to work with. This is some donated fabric that I got from someone who had donated this to the library. I don't know if this is as far up as my... It'll go up a little bit higher. I guess that's it. Okay, I thought it would go up higher than that. Alright, this is a 25 by 25 square piece of fabric, and that's what you need to start with. And you need two pieces, one for the inside and one for the outside. Like I said, you need to have some really tightly woven cotton fabric for this, if you want it to do a good job of protecting you. Once you've got your 25 by 25 two pieces of fabric, and the right side is facing the right side of the other fabric, I'm going to show you how to cut out the rest of it. This is a template you can get from this website called Hello Sewing, and just look for their scarf face mask, and you'll be able to find directions on how to do this. And the pattern that you can print out that's free. I'm going to be using some chalk to outline my pattern. When you're laying it on your pattern, or your 25 by 25 piece of fabric, I'll move some things around so we can, you want to get a something that you can measure diagonally across, from one corner to one corner, and I'm going to show you. This starts at one corner and then it goes all the way to the other corner. It's measured out perfectly. And then what you need to do is figure out the center of your ruler here, so you can center this exactly. And this is on this side of the, let's see, let me show you. This is the corner right here that I'm lining it up with. And then I also have it on this other corner over here exactly, if you see. And then the pattern's going on this side. So I'm going to have to figure out exactly how this will be in the middle. So easier for me, I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. And that's 11. All right. So 24 and 11. And I'm just going to make sure that that is going to measure in the halfway point there. All right. Oops, and that moved just a tiny bit. So the tip of this is measured at 10.5 and then 24.5. The tip of it. And so that's going to be exactly in the middle. So I'm going to take my chalk. I need my that to lay down better. Let me get something to hold that pattern in place better. Something that's weighted. I just have these little metal figurines. I'm just going to use them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagonal line or line across here, come up and draw around my pattern to get my pattern here. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so I can get to it without moving things around. And you need whatever you can use that will mark the fabric where you can clearly see your marks. I'm trying this chalk, but I really don't know how well I'm going to be able to see this. I guess it's going to work. If you have some water-soluble pen that marks well, then use it. I'm trying not to shift this stuff around. This is not doing a very good job. Seems to be showing up better on some parts of the fabric than others. The lighter colors are just not showing up as well. I probably should have used my blue water-soluble pen, but I'm just going to stick with what I've got right now. Maybe it's marking the lines in a weird place, not exactly where I want them. Oops, I moved that whole thing, but that's not a big deal because the only thing I have left is this straight line. Okay, that'll work. I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to move my little figurines out of the way. Alright, so once you got your pattern marked, you're going to cut it out. But since I have both pieces of fabric sitting on top of each other, I'm going to pin it in my fabric in place. So while I'm cutting it, it won't shift on me. So I'm actually pinning the bottom edge first. Let's see, this is going to fall over on me, isn't it? So I'm just going to, because these are straight edges here. And I'm doing it every couple of inches here. And make sure that you're getting it all the way through both pieces of fabric. And just pin it. But you don't want it to shift on you while you're cutting your pattern part. And this should do a fairly decent, good job of holding it in place. And plus, you're going to need to pin these sides in place anyway whenever you're sewing these edges. And then once I get that part cut, actually I guess I could pin it now. I just have to be really, really careful to put them in a place where it won't be in the way of me cutting my fabric. So and I'm going to do it all one direction. When I'm sending it through my sewing machine, I'm going to send it through in a direction that won't be actually hopefully getting my hand or the pins stuck in me while I go. So I'm just all going in all the same direction while I'm pinning this. And this should keep it from shifting while I'm cutting out the fabric too. Alright, so I've got it pinned down. And I'm getting my scissors. And I'm going to start at the corner and cut this pattern out. This is actually a fairly simple project. I'm going to turn this around so I can cut from the other direction. And you may think, wow, there's a lot of fabric you're not using that you're cutting off of here. But it's just the design of this particular pattern. There's just going to be a lot of fabric that you're going to end up not using for this project. So it's kind of hard not to cut off quite a bit of fabric. Even if you didn't do it at a diagonal. Oops, that pin is kind of in the way. You're still going to end up having a big piece like this left over that you're not going to end up using. Alright, so once you've got your pattern cut out, you're going to have kind of this arrow head shape is what it's going to look like. And you'll need to get your elastic ready. And let's see here. I'm going to get something to measure with. I'm going to need 2 pieces of 7-inch pieces of elastic. So that's my 7-inch mark. And I'll cut this off. So there's one 7-inch piece. And there's another 7-inch piece. And that's the only other thing we're really going to need besides sewing this. Oops, I just dropped my scissors. And also besides this, I need to move this over here so I have room. I've got some extra pieces of fabric that was left over from whenever I was cutting out my fabric earlier. I'm going to test it out in my machine and see what settings I need to set my machine on. But this is, I'll move it back just so you can kind of see the pattern a little bit more. It is kind of an arrow shape once you get done. I'll show you how to position the elastic pieces. We're going to have to put them in there before we start sewing around the edges, and you'll have to leave a hole in it somewhere so you can turn it right side out. I'm probably going to change out a couple of my pins to a different type of pin so I'll know that's where I want my hole, instead of having the same type of pin all the way around. That always helps me knowing where to stop and start whenever I'm sewing to leave my hole. So I'm going to switch this over, let's see, to my sewing machine, and actually I'm going to move this out of the way because in a minute I'm going to need my ironing board. So I'm going to go ahead and set my ironing board up over here because once we get it sewed we'll have to press it, so I'll leave that handy. And like if you're watching just now and weren't watching earlier, you can get the pattern. This is the pattern piece that you need for the top. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric that are 25 inches by 25 inches squared, and then if you go to this website Hello Sewing, just look for her pattern that's called the Scarf Face Mask, and you can print this out for free, or well, the pattern is free, she doesn't charge. And so got that part done. I'm going to move over here to the sewing machine, and I think I'm going to probably change my thread in my machine because currently I think I have mine loaded with some white thread, which for this particular pattern I think I'd like something that would blend in with this better. So I'm probably going to use like a cream color. Yeah, looks like I've got some cream colored thread that will blend pretty good with it, better than the white thread will. So I'm going to change that out in my machine real quick. So pop that out of there. And I like to coordinate mine a little bit better. Let's see, I'm going to shred. Maybe not so low. Try to get that a little more lined up. Okay, so I'm going to get my bobbin thread in there and get it on top here. Probably shouldn't have put my camera in here yet because it's making it kind of hard to thread my machine. Let's see here. Alright. And it wouldn't really matter, I guess, if I used white thread on this, really, truly. I still don't like the way this camera is positioned, so bear with me. I think I need to lower this down just a little bit. There. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so I told you that I'm going to change out my pins, so I will know when to start and stop to leave a hole in my project. So I'm just picking, since my other ones are, I'm using a red and green in one of the places on my, I'll show you real quick, just on the edge here, on one of the straight edges I'm going to take out a couple of these pins. It's always a good idea to help yourself out by doing things like this to, let's see, so I think I want to start in the machine like this direction. Yeah, I guess that'll work. So this is where my stopping point will be, and you want a 2-inch hole at least to turn it right side out. I didn't go all the way through my fabric. Okay, so now I've got some different pins for my starting and stopping points. And also, we need to position the elastic. And let's try to rearrange my camera again. So we've got the 2 pieces of elastic. I don't think I'm going to be able to pin them in place. Last time I just used some clips when I did my practice one. So actually I'm going to sit it there so the fabric won't move. And you want to position these in the corners in between your fabric. So I'm going to put my first one up here, not right on the corner, but just a little bit lower, because you're going to have a seam. I guess you could kind of do it at a diagonal, and that won't hurt too much. That's how I do my regular mask when I'm doing them. So I'm going to clip that in place. I'm going to unpin here. Well, actually, I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to pin the other corner in place first. So down here, right before where we turned, I think, and I'm going to have it poking out just a tiny bit so I can see it. And that's right when the fabric is turning. That's not giving me any room. So I'm going to clip that into place, and then my other end, move my pins out of the way. I want to turn my other one up here. Alright, so there's my other one. Make sure you, nope, I did not get both pieces of fabric. I thought that felt kind of weird. Okay, so I've got that, and then where's one of my pins? Yeah. There we go. Pin that back. And then also add this one. I want to make sure that's nice and flat there. Alright, so we need to do the other side. I'm just going to unpin this so I can do my other side without too much trouble. You want it on the inside because you got your wrong sides facing right now. Okay, so I'm going to stick that out just a little bit so I can see it. And then I'm going to shift it up just a tiny bit. I don't want it right in the corner. Close to the corner, but not right in the corner. Clip that in place. Then find the other piece of elastic. And when it's sticking out on this corner, make sure your fabric is laying nice and flat when you're doing this. And that you're getting all pieces of fabric whenever you do it. And then I'm going to pin this section in place. Okay. And then I'm just going to pin across the top. Make sure my fabric is laying nice and flat. I think the fabric I'm using is a little too thin for this project. You really want some nice thick cotton fabric that's woven, kind of like the one that I did my original face mask. It's nice, and you can feel how thick it is. You know it's going to do a better job of protecting you than this one. This one that I'm using is just some fabric I had at the library. Okay, that was donated to us at some point. Okay, so I'm going to do a test run on my machine with some of this extra fabric that I had. Just to see if my tension is okay, because this, like I said, this fabric is kind of lightweight. And I think my tension might not be quite good enough for it. Oops. And actually, I guess I didn't quite. I thought I was raising this up good, but make sure that we can see better. Okay. Alright, so let's look and see if... What does my tension look like? Looks okay there. Oh, I guess it's going to be alright. It's looking okay. This is some thin fabric. I'm not real crazy about it. Alright. So, I'm going to find my starting place where my green, round green pin is. And I'm going to pull that out of the way. And this is where I'm going to start, and then also I'm going to back up a little bit, because when you start out you need to always reinforce it by going over that spot a couple of times. And now we're going to go all the way around it, leaving a hole, and then we'll turn it right side out and do a top stitch. But we'll have to clip the corners, of course, on it before we turn it completely right side out and do the top stitching. Thank you, Paula. Now the corners, I noticed on here, are pretty sharp, so make sure I get kind of close. Let's see, I don't have my fabric turned quite around. Let's see here. It's not exactly laying flat for me. I notice if I have the pins, if I am turning the pins sideways whenever I'm pinning my project, when I'm sewing, uh-oh, something came loose. Oh, I see, one of the pins, okay, it was nothing. That I tend not to pin myself if I have them pointed the direction where I can pull them out this way. If I have them pointed that way, for some reason I get stuck with the pin a lot of times. Okay, and it hit my little clip there, didn't it? Okay, so that's where my elastic is, so I'm going to have to be careful to make sure that it doesn't move, because nothing is holding it in place right now except for me. Okay, and since I went over it, I'm going to reinforce it by going back over it. There we go. Not really necessary, but I like to do that. Because when you turn it right side out and do a top stitching, you're going to reinforce it then. So, not really important. I just do it. Okay, so I got to be careful about this not moving. And watch your fingers. And I'm going to back stitch here because I don't want to be on that corner, but I did want to reinforce that corner just a tiny bit. You do want to make sure that the elastic is not up here where you're going to sew over it, so be careful with that part. Make sure it's well out of the way, that you can feel it underneath there. You may have to lift up your fabric and check on it. And you notice I keep my hands way back here. Don't ever put your hand back this way because you're going to get hit by this, or you might sew your finger. You don't want to do that. Okay, I'm checking my elastic, and I don't want to run over it. And I feel like I need to look and make sure. Not a good idea to do this when the needle is not. Oh, good, I didn't get it. Okay. I'm going to lower this. Oops, it did shift on me. I'm going to put my needle down in there. Because everything shifts on you a lot more whenever you move it when the needle's not in it. I'm trying to make sure that my elastic is down far enough that I'm not going to sew over it up here because I don't want to do that. Because I kind of felt like it was going to get it, and I didn't want it to. And you may want to pull your pins out sooner than I do if you're uncomfortable with stopping in time. I've gotten kind of used to it, so it didn't really bother me. I'm going to move this up just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to back over the elastic. Like I said, it's not necessary, but I like to do it. Move that pin out of the way. And then we're going to pivot on the corner here. And pivot just a little bit more. And you may not have to stop in order to turn. If you feel comfortable pivoting without that, that's fine. This one's a really sharp turn, so I am gonna actually stop it and move my fabric. And you'll notice I'm not pushing my fabric through the machine. I'm letting the machine pull the fabric through, and I'm just guiding the fabric. You don't ever want to push your fabric through because then it'll get bunched up, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. On my other corner. Okay. We're getting close to being finished here. Well, with this part. Got some extra threads there from my material that I don't like. Cut that out of the way. I could have done that when I got done, but I was seeing it right then, so I decided to do it right then. Kind of an awkward time to do it, but I did it. Okay. Getting to my other corner. So, okay. And we'll turn. Oh, I got really close, but okay. My fabric had shifted just a tiny bit, but since I didn't go all the way to the end, it worked out okay. I'll show you the other side to make sure if the fabric wasn't quite exactly, both sides weren't exactly the same. If you didn't get them exactly 25 by 25. Alright, here's my stopping point. I'll kind of show you what I was talking about there in a minute. Alright, so let's see, there's my opening. I'm going to make my opening a little bit smaller. Alright, so I reinforced that. And I'm going to use the same thread for the top stitching, because that's why I picked it, because it kind of matches the fabric. Oh, okay, Paula, you said you like those flat head pins. I do too. They're a lot more expensive, I've noticed, but I do like them. Alright, so I'm going to look on this side and make sure that I didn't not grab, like, see this one I didn't quite have that fabric go all the way to the end, but luckily my stitching made it where there's no hole. I think everything else lined up pretty good. I am going to show you something real quick before we turn it right side out. Any place that you have like a corner like this, which we're going to have a couple of these, you're going to go up to where the corner is and you're going to clip it really close to the stitching, but not into the stitching. And the same thing, oops, on this one. We're going to clip it, but not all the way. And then we're going to, I'm going to cut off my excess piece of elastic here. And here's one of my corners. So when you're cutting your corner, you want to cut it close to the end to kind of cut down on some of the bulk there whenever you turn it right side out. And here's my other one. I have to be careful because I went past it a little bit. So I'm just showing you, just cut it down as much as you can, but don't cut it into the stitching. See how I went one stitch? It's really hard to see, maybe on this side. I went one stitch over. I'm going to get a little bit of elastic off of there too, to keep it from being bulky. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to cut this excess off. And then on this corner, maybe you can see it better on this side. It's such a light color on the other. I'm going to cut it a little divot, but not onto this actual stitch. This will make it better whenever I'm cutting there too, whenever you're turning it right side out. And here's one of my corners. So I'm cutting my corner off, but not on the stitching. You need to go all the way around, because and this is where I got really, really close. So, oops, where did my little piece go? I think I might have one more corner. Yep. So, as close to where your stitching is at as possible. just not right onto it. And then when you're turning it right side out, you can use like one of these point turners, or if you have a knitting needle, that'll help you, will work too, turning your corners. This comes in like if you buy in the fiber fields for like stuffing. One of these always comes in the package. Or if you don't have one of those, sometimes you can buy point turners in the store. I've got a plastic one and a wooden one that I got at some fabric stores. Any of those will work. So we want to find where our hole was and turn everything right side out. And then we'll do some top stitching, and I'll show you how to do a couple of can't think of the word right now. Pleats on around the mask area to make it a little more snug. See, that one doesn't make the point go out all the way. Sometimes. Oh, it's kind of bulky. I guess I didn't cut it down good. Yeah. I guess it's going to be as good as it gets. I don't think I cut off enough of the tip to make it nice and pointed, but that's okay. That looks fine. And so we're going to turn the rest of it right side out. And this is when I'll have to get my iron back out and let's see. Well, oops, there it goes. I was trying to get it to come back on. It was, mine goes to sleep if you don't use it for a little while, and takes it a moment to warm back up. So I was waking it back up, so maybe it will be warm by the time I go to use it here. And this is where the little elastics pieces are. And this is another corner. And I try to pull the corner out as much as possible, and then I'll get my little point turner to do the rest. Not my favorite thing in the world to do, the point, turning out the points. Yep, I guess I'm going to have to find my hole. Wherever it was, there it is. Let me try my wooden one and see if it works a little bit better. Since this fabric was so thin, I didn't have to leave as big of a hole in order to turn it right side out easily. When fabric's really, really thin, it tends to be easier. Okay, so that corner turned out better. So that's my other corner. And then I got one more. Let's see, the bottom corner. The bottom of the actual face mask. Let's see here, I think I found it. Okay. So once you get it nice and turned right side out, I'm going to put all my point turners up, and I'm going to transfer it to my ironing board, and I'm going to do a nice little press to make it easier. Oh, my cords are not wanting to reach all the way over here. Okay. So, you want to work out all your edges to make sure it presses nicely. I know I got my corners, but you got to get your sides too, because if you don't, when you press it, it's going to press it where it's not nice and flat. Make sure it's all the way, the seam is all the way to the edge. Just kind of, you can work it with your fingers to do that. Alright, so this will make doing your top stitching so much easier. Having a good press to it. Try to make sure that y'all can see what I'm doing. So make sure it's, like I said, all your seams are worked to the edges here whenever you press it. Because last time I did mine, at the top, it went inwards a little bit, and it didn't have my seam all the way to the edge. Because I got in a hurry thinking that I had made everything flat before I pressed it. Let's see, I think I might have, oops. Okay, so now I'm going to do this other side here, and then down at the bottom I'll have that hole that I'll have to make sure that it gets pressed good. This part, if you slack off and don't get it nice and pressed when you do your top stitching, it's really going to make your life much more difficult. It'll be frustrating and you'll get very aggravated with it. And this just does not want to lay down good for me. I think I'm going to press this side and then come back and work on the other side because it's just not wanting to cooperate. Got my fingers a little too close to the heat there. Maybe I'll just turn it this way. And my hole is around here. Well, oh, it was on the other side. I guess I haven't gotten there yet. That's what I was looking for. I really thought it was on this edge, and I wanted to make sure that I got that edge pressed correctly, because if you don't, then you won't sew up your hole, or you'll have more difficulty with sewing up your hole. I'm trying to keep all of this on camera, which is kind of hard to do. This fabric is not wanting to cooperate very good with me. Well, I keep changing my settings here. It's the only thing I don't like about this iron is that the little thing that you can turn the heat setting on is right there where I end up touching it all the time whenever I'm moving it around. Seems like it happens more whenever I'm videotaping, I guess, because I'm not able to hold it like I normally do. I usually hold it differently. I'm kind of grabbing it at an angle when I'm on camera. Okay, let's make sure that where the hole was. Okay, so here's my hole. And you do want to make sure that you did a good job of pressing it where you've got a nice little folded edge to both sides. And this is where I'm going to want to start sewing. So, so I won't have to search for this again. Let's see. So this is where I'm going to start when I'm sewing. And so I'm going to sew all the way around. I'm going to get some pins because I don't want to have to search for that again when I get back over there. Because if you do a good job of pressing it, it'll be hard to find. Alright, before we get over there, I want to do my pleats. Because when I'm sewing around it, I'm going to be sewing my pleats in place. So we're going back up here to the top. And we're going to make a couple of pleats. This is one side. And let's see here. This takes a little bit of playing with it. So I've folded one, and I'm going to grab a pin and pin that pleat in place, and then I might, yeah, that pleat's a little too big. I want to be able to get two of them in there, but I don't want to overlap where the elastic is. I'm just trying to make both of the pleats about the same size. Not exactly, but as close to the same size as possible. I don't know, I'm having a harder time with this than I did with my other one. So I've got a couple of pleats there. If it's not too bulky, then I wouldn't worry about the pleat going over the elastic area. That's just up to you on how. It's just sometimes the bulkier it is, the harder it is to sew it in place. But so when you're doing your pleats, you kind of want them where they're not overlapping each other is the main thing. Because when your pleats are on top of each other, then they are more difficult. And you can kind of see that's the top edge of the mask area. Okay, now when you're doing the other side, they need to be matched up. So there's that one. I think I made that pleat too big. It's probably close enough. I think I might have placed my elastic in different places on both sides. Okay, so you want your pleats to be going in the same direction. So that's my pleats are going this way, and they're also going down on that side too. So as long as you got your pleats going down in the same direction, you'll be okay. And I'm going to also press my pleats a little bit, so whenever I'm actually sewing this, it'll lay it more flat for me whenever I'm sewing. Let's see. We'll see if this decides to cooperate. Let's steam one pleat in place. And then maybe I can do my other one, because the other one was not wanting to cooperate. Ow. Okay, so there's my other pleat. Take your hand out of the way, don't. Okay, so when you get both of your pleats pressed down, it'll stay a little more flat for you once you're sewing it in place. Alright, I'm moving this back over to the sewing machine, and this is the last part of this, and we will be done. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit until I get this over here a little bit better. Alright. So this one, I told you I would be really hunting for the hole, but since I had a pin in the spot where it is, I just looked for my pin, made it a lot easier. And so there is my hole. So I'm going to start in front of my hole whenever I'm doing this top stitching. Oh. Okay. And let's try to scoot up here without hitting the camera. Alright, so I'm going to back stitch a little bit. And the trick on this one is when you get to your corners, you don't want to go all the way to the very point of your corners, because on my last one I tried to do that and it's a little too bulky on the points to get all the way to the end of the points. Now this one is probably not going to matter a whole lot because it's not as sharp as a point, but this point we won't want to get all the way to the end. This one is not going to be a problem if I get closer. Oops. Because it's not very bulky. But the other one is. So we're going to be careful with it. Because the bulkier a spot is, the harder for the machine to pull it through and sew it. And it's just a top stitch, so it's not really doing anything besides where the hole is located. Really, the rest of the place around it, it's more just decorative and giving it a nice look. But where the hole is, you want to make sure you're actually closing up the hole. And that's important. Okay, so this is a sharp point, so we're not going to go to the very, very end. We're going to get kind of close. That might have been closer than I wanted. Let's see. Okay, not too bad. Yay, it didn't have any problems, because I didn't get super close to the end like I tried to on my other one. And plus the top stitching we're going to be doing too is also going to be putting pleats in, which is important too on this project. Top stitching gives everything a nice finished look. Oops, I'm getting caught up in stuff here. Okay, so we're getting close to where our pleats are at. And I'm going to turn. We're going to go over the pleats. But I will make sure I take my pins out before I get there all the way, because I don't want to run over my pins, because you might just break the end off of your pin, the end of your needle off. You don't want to do that. Okay, with these pleats, it's going to be hard to avoid this piece of fabric that's part of your pleat. So, because I got really, really close on mine. So, I'm going to let this down, and I'm going to spread my fabric out to make sure that I don't grab a hold of those pleats and double. I don't want the pleat to be stuck in place. I want it to be able to pull apart when I'm wearing the mask. So watch out for that. Okay, now I'm getting kind of close. And I'm going to to get really, really close, about right there. Then I'm going to turn. And now I can kind of flatten my pleats back out again without having to worry about grabbing it where I didn't want to grab it earlier. And there's my other pin. Pull that Okay, shift my fabric. Actually, that's the hardest part so far, and we're almost done with this. And here's another one of my sharp turns, or corners. I am not going to get all the way to the end. Let's see. I'm not sure if that's going to be where I want to turn or not. So let me... might do one more. There. I want it to line up with my fabric. The edge of my... sewing foot there. I wanted the fabric to line up with it so it have a nice look to it. Okay, we are almost done. Almost made it back to where we began. Okay, there's my other thread. Back stitch. All right, there we go. And I'm going to cut off my threads and we will be done. Okay, let's see, there they are. And I will show you, of course next week is Thanksgiving week, so the library will be closed on Thursday and Friday, so I won't be doing a program next week. So hope y'all all enjoy your Thanksgiving week, even though a lot of people won't be able to get out and about and visit. And I know we're not going to get to visit with our family. Okay, I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you what we'll be making the week after Thanksgiving week. So let me actually raise this up and turn this around. Alright, move my chair out of the way. Okay, so this is the face mask. You just put it over like so. And then you got your corners that you tie back here. And you'll knot it, of course. Well, let me see if I can back up just a little bit more so you can see. So there we go. There's the face mask scarf. You can tuck it in and just have a scarf. So that's it. And then I'm going to show you, I just started. This is going to be the project. Let's see if it will zoom in. And aren't they cute? It's some Christmas elf stockings. And I think it's really, really cute. I'm making mine for my dogs. So I have this fabric. See, isn't that cute? It's got puppy dogs on it. I just started it today, so I'm not done with it yet. But I think it's going to be adorable. And then I've got a white part for the, I haven't gotten that part done for the top of it. So, yeah, that's what we'll be doing in 2 weeks. It'll be an elf stocking. And then the week after that, we'll do a painting, which will be a snowman painting. And then also in 2 weeks, but on a Friday, Thank you, Paula. Our first Friday craft that we'll be doing, I forgot what day the first Friday's on, what the date is, but Megan's going to be doing a quilling class for us on that one, and it's going to be on Friday at 4 o'clock, and we're going to do it in person if the weather cooperates with us, and do it outside at our pavilion. And quilling is a paper craft, and she's going to show you how to make some Christmas ornaments with that paper craft. And if you're interested in that one, just give us a call. Not, let me think. It would be next week. Yeah, I guess it would have to be next week or the week after to sign up for that one. I'll have to talk to her to find out exactly when we wanted to open up sign up for that. We'll only probably allow like either 4 to 6 people, since with COVID going on, even doing it outdoors, I don't think we have enough space for more than probably 4 to 6 people. We did the watercolor class outside like that, and it turned out really well. But we'll still do that one virtually, so if you want to participate in the quilling class virtually, you could still do that. I don't know if we're going to make supplies available for it yet or not. We'll have to see if we're able to do that. But if you quill and have the supplies already, you could always follow along virtually with us too. So, alright, well that's it for this time. And if you want to sign up for the little stocking to get fabric and stuff for it, the elf stocking, just check. I don't know if I'll have it available next week. I might try to do it next week, but more than likely it'll be the week after that you'll be able to start signing up for that one. Alrighty. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks, Paula. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.